Welcome to Trojan Talk. I'm your host, Aaron Taylor. With me today is Barbara Patterson, Director of Student Involvement here at Troy University. And Barbara, as always, thanks for joining me.
Oh, I love to be here. Yes.
And we bring you in here at the beginning of a semester, usually here to talk about how to get involved. And obviously, there's opportunities for students to get involved all year long. But when we bring you here in the spring, it's kind of a different set of circumstances. And the fact that students, a lot of, especially new students, have been here for a semester. We're in the middle of the school year, but there's still plenty of opportunities for students to get involved, and especially in new groups and activities.
You know, many new students will say to themselves, oh, I've got to make my grades my first semester. I'm not doing anything else but going back and forth from classes to my residence hall room and just doing studying, and just to make sure that they make that transition from high school to college easily. And but then they kind of start going like, ooh, I'm missing out on something, and I want a little bit more from Troy. And a student organization is the best way to do that. And student organizations, I know many people think, oh, I can only get involved in the fall, but most student organizations take members any time of the year and are so delighted to see a new person walk through the door. So a new student just has to have a little bit of courage and a little bit of encouragement to go like, I'm going to walk through that door. I'm going to go to that first meeting.
And there is that level of nerves, you would think, to the students, because they're like, these people have already been doing this for a semester. I'm going to walk in. I'm not going to know anybody. All those people already know each other. But you find that that's not usually the case. That most of these organizations, especially, they're wanting some of this new blood.
Right. They absolutely, they want new members. Most of them want new members all throughout the year, and will be so welcoming to any new student who comes to their meetings.
And for students out there, we talk about this a lot, but when they want to figure out their spot, where are their place? You mentioned the student who got their grades together first semester, and now they're thinking, I want to expand my horizons. What do they need to do? What steps do they need to take? How can they handle that?
To me, one thing is ask friends. Find out what friends have joined and what they have enjoyed. And then think about some of the things that are being offered. For instance, fraternity recruitment. The signs and posters for fraternity recruitment are up, and they are getting ready for that. The sororities are thinking about, they have a few open spaces, and they are going to have a meeting next week, and they're fixing to get the publicity up about that. Our office is sponsoring on Wednesday, January 22nd, a student organization fair where between 10 and 2 they can just come up to the Trojan Center ballrooms and walk around and meet some of the student organizations. But I think really the easiest way is to look at signs and posters that are plastered all over our academic buildings and say, okay, take a picture of one or two and say, okay, I'm going to get brave and I'm going to go to 2 new meetings and just check out some student organizations. I also like to say that we put out a student events calendar, and that student events calendar, organizations in the last 2-3 days have been filling it up. If you saw it even just yesterday, it didn't have much on it, but by tomorrow it will be jam-packed full of student organization events.
And that's one of the cool things is you can you can do a Google Calendar and connect to that. And all of these events and things that are going on, whether the organizations or other stuff, will just show up on your calendar.
Yes, and not only the organization events, but we import the athletic events, we import the fine art events, and so you get a great perspective of all the things that are going on campus.
So a good opportunity to do that, and so check that out. Try to find that, get your hands on that. And how can they do that? Can they? Is there a place where they can find that?
Absolutely. And what I encourage students to do is really check out, if they've never checked out mytroy.edu, check it out under students and then student involvement. We have the student events calendar, and then you can just subscribe to it.
Subscribe to that calendar.
And then it
I
just pop on your
subscribe to it,
phone.
and I'm not even a student because I like to see what's going on campus. So, now, and also, in addition to all that, they can just come by the office, right?
Absolutely. There's several staff members who would love to meet with you and just say, hey, what are you just come on in and we'll sit down with you and we'll ask you, what are you interested in, what your major is, and what were you involved in high school, and then we'll start pointing out organizations that we think the student will be involved in. And we have been rewarded in so many ways that students have come back to us and said, oh, I don't know why I didn't do this before. I should have done this. Thank you so much for meeting with me. So we love to meet with students and help them figure out how to get involved.
And once again, you said, you can get the calendar, check out some posters, check out signs,
Right.
and when the organizational event as well, gives a date and time for that as well.
The Student Organization Browse Fair will be Wednesday, January 22nd, Trojan Center Ballrooms from 10 to 2.
And open to any students who want to just come by,
Absolutely.
talk to some folks,
Yes.
learn about organizations here on campus. Well, Barbara, here's hoping that students take advantage of
I
all
hope
those
so.
opportunities
Thank you.
to get involved. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us on today's edition of Trojan Talk.